Happy Friday, and thanks for tuning into RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. And this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norm, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Misty Decker. Misty!
Hey! Hi!
Thanks for coming in. And you're preparing a cocktail for us, and my mouth's watering. What is this you're making?
This is from Cooper's Daughter. Wait, I have to pull out the recipe.
Okay. Cooper's Daughter, which is the distillery near here.
It's a distillery near here in Claverack. We were, over the holidays, we were at one of those markets up in Hudson, and we saw them there, and we tasted this, and I was like, wow, this is delicious. So it's cacao maple vodka and black currant liqueur, and they call it Darkness, and it's yummy, yummy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's what you just made for us.
Yeah. Well, I also brought 2 non-alcoholic options for you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, when can we have a sip of this concoction?
Well, let's start right away. Here you go.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. It's in a beaker. I like that you brought a little beaker.
Oh my gosh, my little beaker. I don't have like one of those little measuring glasses for cocktails. So I had in a thrift store, I was getting some stuff and I saw this little beaker thing and I was like, I'll use that as a makeshift cocktail maker.
I like it a lot. Where's your glass? Do you have some? Oh, you do?
I do.
Cheers.
So cheers.
Cheers, Misty. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Wow. It's chocolatey.
I know. Chocolate.
That's yummy. Are you a chocoholic?
Oh, I love chocolate. And when I was at IBM, I used to go to the cafeteria and get a chocolate muffin for breakfast with my hot chocolate instead of coffee. Like, that's how much I like chocolate.
And are you affected by caffeine?
I actually can't have too much caffeine, but there's not enough I can't have a coffee, but there's not enough caffeine in chocolate to really affect me too much. Even though I try. I shoot for eating enough chocolate that it's as much caffeine as a coffee, but I don't quite get there.
And why can't you have coffee?
I have a heart condition called mitral valve prolapse.
Okay.
And it's sensitive to caffeine. So, I can have like a caffeinated tea, but I can't have 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. What happens? Any idea what do they say is going to happen if you do
Oh,
that?
no. What happened?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Let's start off with a terror story. So, my parents lived in Southern Maryland, and I was visiting for the holidays, and they had brewed this pot of really delicious smelling, like, I forget it was, hazelnut coffee or something.
Right.
And I had a cup of that, and I was like, oh, this is delicious. And so I had a second cup. And then I started feeling heart palpitations, but we were supposed to drive back from Southern Maryland to New York, and that was like, it's an 8-hour drive. And so I was with my boyfriend at the time, and I didn't say anything because I didn't want him to have a nervous panic attack. So I drove the whole way, and about every hour or so, my heart basically stopped for a beat or 2. And then we finally got here. I was like, I'm glad we're home. I think I need to go to the hospital. And they found I had atrial fibrillations. Yeah. And they were like, maybe you should have gone to the hospital sooner. I'm like, it wasn't like constant. It was like
That's
occasionally that I couldn't breathe or,
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you feel like when your heart was stopping? I mean, were you sweating and your temperature spiking and all this crap?
It was just for a second or 2 because it's atrial fibrillation, so it's AFib. And it just kind of like, it's like you're forced to hold your breath and you can't like move or anything. And it did hurt for a second, but then it would like go back. So yeah. And they caught it, when they did the, whatever it is, EKGs in the hospital, and they saw it and they were like, oh yeah, your heart's stopping for a second.
And did they do anything apart from telling you to keep off the...
Yeah, they gave me medication that, like the smallest dose, because it was relatively minor. Like people with AFib usually have it a lot worse.
And do you still take that?
No. I just figured out what caused it. Caffeine.
Caffeine.
So I'm careful. If sometimes I like a good soda and I drink 2 or 3 of them, and then I start to feel my heart getting a little fluttery, and I go, okay, maybe no more of the caffeine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we've
I've been
got
fine.
lots of caffeine-free sodas and stuff. So it's probably not a big imposition.
Yeah, it's not that big of an imposition, but I was talking with a customer from Brazil. So these Brazilians, and we were at the coffee bar, and I was in line behind them, and they were like, decaf coffee. Like, why? Why would anyone even bother? And I'm like, well, somebody like me, it's either I drink decaf or I never have a cup of coffee ever again. And the look on this Brazilian's face was like, I don't know how you make that choice. I'm like, well, sometimes you gotta make that choice.
I like breathing.
And at this point, I don't even know what caffeinated coffee tastes like, so I'm not missing nothing.
I've had decaf and don't think there's a huge difference in the taste.
I wouldn't know. Some people tell me it's terrible, but how am I supposed to know?
Yeah. And you just mentioned your customers. What kind of customers do you have?
Yeah, so I work with, I do mainframe modernization, and I work with pretty much every large company in the world.
Okay, and what exactly is a mainframe?
Besides that evil thing in the back room in the movies, that you have to hack into, and then you rule the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it kind of is actually that. So, mainframe actually is the first computers, and the word mainframe means literally the main computer, and frame being the metal box that the computers were held in.
Okay.
And they've evolved over the decades and decades to just be a certain type of computing that is centralized, very high powered, very parallel, if that means anything to anybody. And it just
what does that mean, parallel?
It means like mainframes are most known for is transaction processing. So, for example, every time you use your credit card,
right?
Those are all tiny little transactions, tons and tons of them, millions happening every second, right?
Right. I'm trying to cut back.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of other people who aren't. So. All of those credit card transactions need to be processed by a computer. And if you're talking about an individual bank, that bank has to do all of that. The mainframe is built to do a lot of those things all at once.
Okay.
So that's parallel processing. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to stop doing one of them to do another one.
Yeah, it does them all
How many can a big mainframe do at any given point in time?
Oh gosh.
Like
I
millions?
wouldn't. Oh yeah. I mean, well, it depends on how you configure it, but yeah. There's a wide range.
And who does the configuring?
So every large company has an IT, information technology team that stands up all of their computer servers, one of which could be a mainframe.
Okay.
Right. So there's really no business that's running on just mainframes anymore. It's more like the mainframe is a part of a whole bunch of stuff, and you use the right tool for the job, right? So if you're trying to go on to a large bank's, we'll call it Misty Bank. If you're trying to get onto Misty Bank's website, that's probably from a cloud server or a distributed server, because it's good at that sort of thing. But your credit card transactions and your bank account updates are probably going to be processed on the mainframe, and they work like a team.
When you say cloud server, I think, that's probably a type of mainframe. Is it different?
No.
Oh.
So mainframes are so old, they actually speak a different language from most all other computers that you know of. So that's known as architecture. Oh, we're getting super technical right off the bat here, Norm.
Yeah. Well, when this strong drink kicks in, we'll just...
Right? I mean, it's like pure vodka with a little splash of cocoa in there. So the way back when computers were first created, they were all mainframes. Like, that was it. If you ever saw the movie Hidden Figures...
No. But I saw the computer lab at college in like 1979, and we had cards, and it was Fortran and COBOL or whatever.
Cards. Fortran, COBOL, perfect. That's exactly what we're talking about.
And there was a big machine.
A big machine. It was probably a mainframe. And
how would you tell if that big machine was a mainframe or not? You lift up its tail and
they look. It's just a box on the outside. You'd have to know what the boxes look like. It's like any technology or anything. You kind of have to know what you're looking at to know what you're looking at.
Okay, so you continue. You're talking.
So the mainframes. I'm going to tell you something that even people in the mainframe industry don't normally know.
Oh,
you ready
good.
for this?
Yeah.
Okay. So the mainframes were written on something called EBCDIC. So EBCDIC just means, everything in any computer is stored as numbers. So there's like a secret decoder ring that says the letter A is going to be stored as 1135 or whatever, right? So EBCDIC is the secret.
It's not just ones and zeros?
It's ones and zeros, but all the ones and zeros, when put together, represent numbers.
Okay.
Right? So everything is stored as a number, and that number is stored as ones and zeros.
Okay.
So there's a map of all of the characters have a certain number. So you've got your little secret decoder ring.
Right.
The IBM mainframe was written in IBM's character mapping called EBCDIC, EBCDIC. Stands for something I have no idea what.
Yeah. Every good boy deserves fudge.
Meanwhile, there is an industry open source community that defined a different character map called ASCII. Everything that might sound familiar because everything you do on your laptop, on your phone, it's all in ASCII.
ASCE?
ASCII.
II. Okay.
Right?
Oh, that's funny. Because I was thinking ASC2, but it turns out it's ASC.
It's II. Yeah.
Okay.
And so...
Wait, can we stop right here and digress and hopefully find our way back to this? Because it's fascinating. So there's the IBM language.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, hey, we're going to make another language.
Right.
Just to make things more difficult. Why?
No, to make things better. So before ASCII came around, Hewlett-Packard, all of these other companies had their own character mapping.
Oh.
So if you had data, if you had a file, if you had a program on an IBM computer, you couldn't move it to anybody else's computer. So if you bought
limiting.
a new computer from a different company, you had to rewrite everything.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know.
And were there programs that would rewrite that
You
for
had to rewrite the whole thing. So the open source community defined a common character mapping called ASCII and said, this makes it so that your data can move from one computer to another. Right at the time that IBM is developing the first IBM System 360 mainframe. And I learned from people that did that project many, many, many years ago that they were thinking about switching it to ASCII, but it would have delayed when they could start selling it by a month or two. And the business executives decided it was too long. They couldn't wait. So they shipped the first machine in EBCDIC, and now still to this day, the IBM mainframe is the only computer in the entire industry in EBCDIC. So it's like the entire world is speaking English, and one person speaks Japanese.
Right. So there's probably a couple of people at IBM who made that fateful decision.
Yeah. Well, no, they're long gone. They're retired. But yeah.
Retired with shame. I mean, that must have been...
Most people don't even know. They're just like, oh, well, IBM mainframe is EBCDIC and everything else is ASCII. Oh, well. Yeah, well, it was that close. It was that close that they could have had one common language that they're all on.
And why do you think IBM didn't want to switch? Just the time?
Oh, gosh.
Just wanting to get to market
2 months
fast?
was a big deal.
Okay.
So a little bit of computing history there. The IBM 360, it was called 360 because it was 360 degrees in that all of the components talk to each other. So
Right.
everything in that IBM ecosystem, remember how I said you upgrade and you had to rewrite everything? IBM 360 was the first time that they made a common architecture that would carry on forever and ever. And programs written back in 1960 will still run on the latest and greatest machine that just shipped off the floor a year ago. It is
Of IBM.
IBM. Yeah. So they made the first reliable where you upgrade, you don't have to rewrite. And they were betting the entire business on it. They spent so much money on development that if they had waited 2 months, IBM probably would not still exist today. Like, it was that close of how much they spent and how quickly they needed the revenue.
But not switching to ASCII must have had sort of negative business
Yeah,
effect.
eventually today, I mean, now we're in a state where this is going back to what I do mainframe modernization. So you have customers, big banks, government, your state government, your federal government, even the NYPD, they all run on an IBM mainframe. They have these applications, software that they wrote 20 years ago that they still struggle to have interact with their new mobile app and their new cloud server and their new website because they speak different languages. So intersecting all of that stuff gets complicated, and it's been an issue forever. I mean, less of an issue early on when everything was EBCDIC, and then as the open source language became more and more popular, it just kind of took over.
And is EBCDIC proprietary to IBM?
I believe it is. I do
and
believe
open
it.
source is the opposite.
Correct. Yeah.
How very interesting.
Yeah.
So did you get into this like right out of college?
I did by accident. It's a very funny story. Are you ready for the ride?
Yeah. We get
Okay.
little cards and, 1 from 10, how funny it is.
All right. I'll be looking for the rating. Okay. So, I went to college as a math major, and pretty early on, my math professor said, I think you'd do well in research. So, like, researching new math. And I was really interested and excited about that, but I paid my own way through college. I worked 80 hours every break and every summer, just trying to save the money to try to pay my way through school. And it was hard, but I got on my whole way through it, on my own 2 feet. And I knew that in order to be a researcher, I have to get a PhD, and I couldn't afford it. So my roommate, my senior year, said, get a job with one of these big tech companies because they will pay for your master's degree. So I went into interviews looking for my tech sugar daddy. That's all I wanted. So I was pretending to be interested in a computer job when I had zero intention of staying there. I just wanted, so I would be like, oh, computers. Yeah, very nice. Do you have a tuition reimbursement program? Yes, we do. Does it cover math degrees? Yes, it does. Oh, computers. How very exciting. So I had a job offer with GE Aerospace back home in Virginia, where I'm from, and a job offer in evil New York. Because I'm a Virginian who'd never been north, and everything I'd heard as a kid, New York is where there's no trees. You get mugged just every other day.
And did you hear about Yankees too? I mean, was it a Southern thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's Yankees, but New York is like the worst of the Yankees. Didn't you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're mean. You can't trust them. There's you just have constantly worried about getting murdered. So they offered me an interview in New York.
GE Aerospace.
No, this is IBM.
Okay.
I had the interview with GE Aerospace in Virginia, so I figured that's probably where I was going to go. But IBM offered me an interview in New York, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, sure. Besides, I don't have a car to get there, and they're like, oh no, we'd fly you, and I went, what? Because I had never been on an airplane before, so I took the interview only because I wanted to be on an airplane for once in my life.
Right.
The only reason I took the interview, I had no intention of moving to evil New York. So I get off of the tarmac.
Godforsaken.
At Stewart Newberg Airport.
Oh.
Before they had the ramp. So I'm getting off on the tarmac.
Right.
And it was 10 degrees. I'm a Virginian now, okay?
Right.
I get off of the plane and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because I love new experiences. I love trying new things. So I'm there on the tarmac, and I took my coat off, and I stretched my arms out wide, and I look up at the sky, and I'm feeling every bit of the cold because I just wanted to experience it. I wanted to know what cold was like.
And did you toss your hat in the air like Mary Tyler Moore?
I know, right? And everybody else is coming off the plane all cuddled up, and they're like, what the heck is going on with this person?
Move it along, lady.
So I go into the interview, and the manager's all apologetic. I'm so sorry it's cold. It's not normally
Was the interview
this cold.
up here?
Yeah, in Poughkeepsie.
Oh, nice.
So I go, well, I actually thought it was kind of cool because I don't normally get to experience cold. And he goes, but it does get cold. And I was like, okay, that's pretty slick. So IBM really impressed me, right? The people were really nice. I couldn't believe how many trees there were. It was beautiful. I loved the Hudson River. And I figured, you know what? I'm only going to be here until I finish my master's degree. That's only a couple of years. Why not? So I moved up here.
What did your folks and your siblings think about that?
Okay, have fun. You know, I was very independent. They weren't going to try to stop me from doing anything. And, you know, like a year in of working with the mainframe, I realized how much I really appreciated how important it is. And I really liked the technology. And everything that I liked about math, I could have in computers and technology, in that I like seeing how everything fits together. I like problem solving. I was able to do all of that with the IBM mainframe. So instead of getting a master's in math, I got a master's in information systems, and I've been in mainframes ever since. I got the mainframe bug.
Wow. And so it took you a couple of years to get your master's in information systems.
Yeah.
And then now you're free to leave IBM.
I stayed at IBM.
Yeah.
I stayed at IBM for almost 30 years.
30 years. Wow.
Yeah. The thing about IBM that I really liked is it's not one job, at least not for me. When you're at a big company, you could just apply for another job. And I bounced around. People look at my resume and they're like, oh, are you a development person? Are you a salesperson? Are you a consultant? And I'm like, yeah, I've done all of those things.
Did you do sales?
I have done, well, what I've been doing lately is consulting sales. So
Okay.
I work with large organizations that have these old applications that haven't been updated in forever, and I help them figure out what their options are.
Okay.
So let me give you an analogy of what I'm dealing with.
Oh, good.
Imagine you have a house, you bought a house that is really old. It's 100 years old house, and it's gone through multiple owners, and everybody's done a little bit of remodeling on it. Okay. And it's got like hack job on top of hack job on top of hack job. The house is still perfectly livable, but it's kind of like, you know, there's stuff going on inside there, right?
Do you have a house like that now?
No, I have a wonderful house. A wonderful house with a fabulous landlord who might be listening to me right now.
Yeah. This way.
I have zero complaints.
Perfect.
So my job is I go in and I say, all right, how do you want to live? In my technology analogy, it's what is it you need your IT to do for your business, right? What are your challenges? What is it you're trying to do? With the house analogy, it's what is not working for you in this house? What is working for you? What do you want it to do? And then I can look at all of that and I go, okay, I can tell by that outlet that you probably have old wiring behind the wall. Right. So I'm the person with the experience that says I can see what you have there, and I know what kinds of problems you're going to run into, and I know what your options are for solving it. And so I work with them to figure out a plan, and then I bring in the people with the actual skills to actually do the work. But I'm the consultant that helps them figure out what needs to be done so that the technology works better for their business today, even though they have decades of Band-Aid on top of Band-Aid, fix on top of fix.
Right. And your clients, you go and you see the house, and, you know, one of them's running on open source and one of them's running on IBM. I mean,
they all run on a mix.
In a mix of the two?
Oh, gosh, everybody has
I thought they didn't
mess.
play well together, those two.
Oh, but there's translators in between.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just a question of how complicated do you want to make those things?
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So almost all of your clients, your fresh clients, are running a mix of both.
Pretty much everybody. I call them Frankensystems, like Frankenstein's monster.
Works, yeah.
Because, all right, we're going to go into psychology, right? A lot of people think that technology is just technology, but in my world, there's a massive intersection between sociology, psychology, and technology. Because if you think about it, the decisions that a business makes about the technology that they're going to use is being decided by a human being. And that human being is coming to that decision with their own experience, their own fears, their own hopes, their own political structure, everything that's going on in the organization. And so what I find is these Franken systems end up being a series of people trying to make a name for themselves in the company by adopting whatever is new and fashionable. So it's a new thing on top of a new thing.
Ugh.
And those things are no longer new, but there's a little bit of this here and a little bit of that there. And it's a mishmash. So I tell customers, I can tell you when you implemented that feature by the programming language that was chosen to write it in. Because there's fashion that happens over and over again.
And there's always new languages coming out.
New languages, new technologies. I mean, blockchain was like all the rage, like just 5 years ago. And, you know, people were going to build, and I'm not talking about the Bitcoin blockchain. I'm talking there's like an actual business use for blockchain. And it was going to solve all problems. And a bunch of people jumped on that bandwagon. And now it's not quite so fashionable. Now everybody's talking about AI.
Right.
So, you know, come back to me in 5 years and we'll see all the places where AI was implemented. And some of them are going to be good and they'll stand the test of time. And some of them are going to be, well, we had a hammer and we tried to find a nail.
Right. Seems like AI would be good for the translation between these two things.
So AI, you might think that. But if you're talking about translating code, unlike language translation, context matters, right? All right, I'm gonna step back for a second. I'm gonna give us framing for the rest of this conversation. Fair enough?
All right, good.
Okay. I did an experiment where I took a poem and I put it through Google Translate.
Do you remember what poem?
No, I don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
But I put it through Google Translate into Japanese. And then I took the Japanese and I translated it back into English to see what I got. And that really shows you how translations do and don't get context.
Right.
So I think the poem was about Ella Fitzgerald, and there was a line in it about a flower in her hair. And the translation came back, hair flower, which doesn't have the poetry. I mean, yeah, technically, hair flower kind of works.
Sure.
But flower in her hair has poetic meaning to us as human beings.
Yeah.
Right? So that was traditional language translation. I haven't tried that experiment with an AI translation. That would be fun to do because AI is supposed to have that social context, the broader context for the translation.
Right.
From a code point of view, it's functional. So translating it straight, it's move this page to that box. In Japanese, it's still move this page to that box, right? So it's less important to have that context. And in fact, in some ways, that context is not helpful when you're translating code. But where AI is really, really helpful is taking the functional code and saying, what does this actually mean? What is this doing? Like you look at a bunch of lines of code and it's like,
Right.
okay, so I'm moving this page to a box and then what? Why does that matter? AI can look at the context and say, well, what this application is doing is it's collecting all of your medical bills into a file that can then be shipped to a doctor. Oh, now I know what this is doing. That's where AI is actually really, really helping my world, my mainframe modernization world, quite a lot.
Right. Interesting. That's not necessarily the translation between the open code and the IBM
No,
code.
you don't really need it for that because the just straight translation in the traditional ways where A equals B always, it seems to work really, really well.
Interesting. So when you go into these companies and you say, look, you've got this Franken system, and I can tell you when it was updated, who put this in, why they put it in, and quite possibly they did it just to look cool because it was the latest coolest language.
Yeah.
Do the companies you consult for understand that sort of human dynamic? Like people are coming in and not always making the decision that's going to be best for the architecture, but also that shines brightest on them?
So this is where it gets really delicate, in that it's really hard to tell a vice president or a senior vice president or a chief technology officer of a major organization, right? Somebody making $500,000 a year or something. You know, these decisions are being made emotionally. Yeah, he's not going to take that well. Okay? So I have to be really delicate. And this is where, unlike a lot of other technology jobs, I really need to pull on a very strong EQ. So when I've hired people, I always really look out for how they read body language and how they navigate really complex social dynamics. So I go into a room and I say something about the mainframe and I check all of the faces. And, you know, when I see some people, I'm like, they roll their eyes or they just kind of tense up a little bit. I'm like, okay, they think the mainframe is always the wrong answer. Or I see somebody like nod their head. I'm like, okay, they think the mainframe is always the right answer. And they pretty much divide into these two camps. The mainframe is actually very polarizing in the world of IT. It's an emotional religious war. I call them Team King Kong versus Team Godzilla because they will not agree. They fight each other. There's history for that too. You want to hear more social dynamics? I mean, who knew technology was so social?
Can you use the West Side Story analogy for this one?
Oh my gosh, with the snaps?
Yeah.
Maybe it
the
might
sharks
even
and the jets.
it might even hold up a little bit because a lot of the dynamics comes down to social prestige and the way people get treated. So go back to the beginning of computing. Mainframe was computing. There was nothing else. Okay. Right. Distributed computing comes out as an experiment out of universities. It's that funny little side thing. It's not as reliable. Everybody who's in mainframes looks down their nose at it. Distributed computing is cheaper and gets better and better until it's able to deliver almost equivalent functionality as the mainframe, but for a lot cheaper. So now the distributed people are getting more and more social praise. They're getting the raises. They're getting speaking spots at conferences. Mainframe is considered to be old and outdated, and the people working in it are now being made fun of. Oh, you still work on that. Okay, so now we have starred belly sneeches.
Do they come up with
and sneeches without stars on theirs?
Yeah, and we've got Darth Misty, the mainframe Sith.
Well, I'll tell you the story about that. But so now we have the social divide. And so whenever a conversation around mainframe modernization comes up, the mainframe people feel, okay, you're trying to get rid of the thing that I've been working on my entire career.
Right.
And you don't understand the value of it. And you are just here to attack me.
Oh.
Okay. So now there's all of that emotion involved. There's failed projects in the history. Okay. So now the senior leadership is afraid to be attached to a modernization project that spends $5 million and has nothing to show for it, which has happened. So now there's social, individual, personal fear involved. And nobody wants to say any of that. They don't want to say, you're dissing my mainframe. They don't want to say, I'm afraid I'm going to get fired like the last guy. They don't want to say that because that's socially admitting weakness, right? So all of these threads are hidden underneath the conversation, and I have to navigate that without saying directly, dude, are you afraid?
Yeah.
What's up? Get off of your butt and do this.
Well, how
So I have to make it socially and emotionally safe for people to have the real conversations.
And when you say people, I'm thinking historically it's been men.
You know what? Historically, it has been men, but I would say mainframe technology in particular has way more women in it than other
that's nice.
areas than you would expect. Funny thing, when I first started working on COBOL, which is It's not a mainframe programming language. It's, for all of you out there that may think you know, COBOL was actually the first cross-platform programming language, but it gets tied up with mainframe because it's about as old. Okay. So I started working in COBOL, and I searched on LinkedIn for people with COBOL in their job title, and I just started reaching out to them, trying to build a community. And after a couple of hours of that, watching a movie and sending LinkedIn messages, I realized, hey, probably more than half of these people that work in COBOL were women. So I reached out to a mainframe magazine called Tech Channel, and I said, what do you think of me doing a video series with these women of COBOL and highlighting them for what they know? And I won't ask them, how do you balance work and life? I'm going to ask them about the technology that they know.
Right.
Just like the men in interviews get, right? So I did about, I guess, 6 or 8 of those videos of highlighting women in COBOL in different areas, different types of jobs. But it really surprised me. That's what spurred me to do it, was how many women had COBOL in their job title.
Nice.
Versus other areas.
And are these videos you did up on YouTube now?
They're up on techchannel.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. And did you do anything for Planet Mainframe magazine?
Oh my gosh. Planet Mainframe did something for me. So I'm loud and proud in the mainframe space. Very opinionated, maybe.
Yeah, I think your Instagram profile says COBOL evangelist.
Yeah. I evangelize mainframe modernization, and I'm one of the few people that actually just calls out the social dynamics around this. And so Planet Mainframe actually named me 2 years in a row top 10 most influential mainframers in the world.
Wow.
So I do a lot of talking and speaking at conferences, and I haven't written a blog in like a year, but I started a number over the holidays that I hope to get published soon. So I'll be doing some blogs. I always have weird angles.
Where
on my
would those
blogs
be published?
So Tech Channel wants some content from me. Planet Mainframe wants content from me, and the Share conference organization, they've all asked for content from me. So I'm going to try to like be fair and split up.
And so what you've written some things, what are they about? Are they more mainframe evangelizing?
Oh, pretty much everything
Always,
is mainframe of some sort, you know? So I have some stuff that I'm planning around all the stuff that's coming out with AI, around using AI to do mainframe modernization. There's so much in that space. There's a lot. This is a static field. Mainframes are like, they don't change much, right? But in the last couple of years, it's been crazy how much mainframe modernization has changed with AI creating new tools to help us do it faster. So it's for me, it's a very exciting time.
Right.
Yeah. I really believe that what I'm working on is essential and important. I say that mainframe modernization is the climate change of IT because it's something that's there. Everybody in IT sees it. They know how fragile these systems are. You change, just think back to that house analogy. You know, you plug in your new TV and suddenly the whole electrical goes kaput because you didn't know how fragile that electrical system was until you plugged in the new TV.
Right.
These systems that every major bank, every government, all your healthcare, all of the FAA is on a mainframe, like all of these systems are more fragile than the organizations would like to admit. They're afraid to make changes. So they just try to they hack things together on the periphery so that they don't have to change the core because they're afraid of what's going to break. And it's going to eventually break, right? And just to give you a perspective of how important these systems are, do you remember when the pandemic first started and there was long lines of people trying to get food benefits?
Right.
And the New Jersey governor said he's unable to pay unemployment claims because of COBOL. He literally blamed COBOL as the reason, on national television, as the reason why he couldn't pay unemployment claims. when that tragic accident at Washington National Airport happened and the airline hit the helicopter, I mean, you heard Trump blame diversity, but at the same time, people in the tech space were blaming COBOL and mainframes for an airplane crash. They blamed it because they're all expecting it to eventually explode. Now, neither of those incidents ended up being mainframe or COBOL, to be honest, but it's the knee-jerk reaction.
Right.
And so I'm on a personal mission to help these organizations get beyond those emotional hurdles, get beyond those organizational hurdles, get beyond those technological hurdles, to actually finally address these issues and get to where the systems can reliably support all of the people that rely on those systems. Right?
Right.
So I have a sense of importance around what I do, even though it's completely invisible to 99.999% of the population. I know that what I'm doing is actually really important. And that's what drives me.
But you said eventually they're going to implode the mainframes.
The applications, the hardware itself is rock solid.
Oh, okay.
The hardware is getting updated all the time. IBM is doing an amazing job of adding new, like the new mainframes are like cutting edge AI, all this other stuff. It's like cutting edge technology, rock solid. Like you could literally, and it literally has happened, where a building blew up and the mainframe was still working in the rubble of the basement. So they're like amazing machines.
Love that. Yeah.
They earthquake test them. There was a mainframe in a flood, and the data center flooded, and the mainframe still worked. I mean, they're amazing. But
does IBM make the hardware too?
IBM makes the hardware right here in Poughkeepsie.
Right. Okay. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but the applications, the software, is where it's fragile, and how those pieces are put together is where it's fragile.
And IBM makes some of the software or all of it? Or?
So IBM makes the software that the customer uses to make their software. So the IBM software is also rock solid. It's like, going back to the house analogy, you've got copper pipes, you've got lead pipes, right? It's how you put all of those things. So you've got all these really amazing, like, let's say you've got great pipes, but the joints together, you didn't tape it well, and it's going to eventually spring a leak.
Right.
So that's at the customer site. There's nothing wrong with the pipes. So what IBM makes is basically a construction material. COBOL is a construction material, but what people have built out of that, they haven't been maintaining, and it needs to be fixed so that it can last. So there's nothing wrong with, this is where people get really confused.
Right.
So like, well, the mainframe is old and then mainframe needs to be replaced. There's nothing wrong with the hardware. There's nothing wrong with the IBM software and the operating system. It's the stuff that the customer wrote on top of it that's fragile.
So, as well as the egos that were responsible for
I know,
writing
and
that
how
shit.
do you have that conversation, right? Like,
So-
so there's nothing wrong with your mainframe. There's something wrong with you. You're wrong. You've got the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. So are you a student of psychology and organizational behavior and all this kind of crap?
I'm a student of everything. I just like
Yeah.
to read and talk to people and learn. And
So do you get much pushback when you go to your new clients and say, all right, well, here's the problem, and you're proselytizing for the mainframe?
yeah.
Do you get much pushback from people saying, well, that mainframe's not okay, we want this other open source kind of thing? Or have people ever, how overt has anybody ever been threatening you
Oh,
to
gosh.
keep your fingers out of their pie,
So
their programming pie?
me personally, I'm one of the few people that can go into that conversation without people automatically feeling threatened. And the reason for that is because I have such a long history as a mainframer. I was the release manager of the first release of the operating system. So you say that to a mainframer and they're like, oh, wow, okay, so she's one of us, right? I'm going back to the Team King Kong, Team Godzilla, right? So you're either a Republican or a Democrat and you don't trust that other side, okay? So I now have street cred with those people in the mainframe space. They trust me, they know I'm one of their clan. But I've also been in the move off camp where I take mainframe applications and I move them to the cloud and I get rid of the mainframe altogether. So now I have not as much, but definitely a fair amount of street cred with the people on the distributed side that thinks the mainframe is old and needs to be eliminated. So I am one of the few people that can stand in the middle of the two groups with credibility to both sides and mediate. And my understanding of social dynamics helps me to do that mediation. So I know how to have that conversation. It's hard to explain in a 1 hour podcast, but there's certain ways that you can phrase things. There's trigger words that has an immediate emotional response
Right.
on both sides. I know what those trigger words are. I've trained all of my team. Don't say this ever, right? You can phrase it that way. So your applications are the problem. Okay, that's going to get an immediate emotional response.
Right.
So I would say, so usually the issue is that, some of these applications that were once really wonderful for your organization has changed and they're no longer really serving your needs. So we need to go back and take a look at those and
God.
see if we can help them better deliver what you need today.
You polished the hell out of that turd. That was really nicely
I might
done.
have been doing it for a few years.
Yeah.
So, there's a way.
But that's really good. I smelled no bullshit in your reframing of that.
You've got to be speaking from the heart and honestly, but sensitively.
Right.
Right. And knowing where people's triggers are is what helps me do that.
Yeah. And how big is your team?
So I don't know how you phrase it. Let's say it's from 5 people to 500, depending upon how you measure it, right? So,
right.
There's like 5 of us that go and talk to customers, and then there's like 500 people that are like delivering the goods, right? So we go and we talk to them, and then there's hundreds more that actually do the projects.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. So, and how long have you been on your own?
So I don't know what you mean by on my own.
Well, this is your company. You've got a team.
No. I work for a major corporation.
Oh, I thought you consulted for many major corporations.
No. I am a consultant for Kyndryl.
Oh, okay.
So I talk to customers on behalf of a corporation.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Kyndryl is a consulting firm.
Kyndryl
primarily?
is a mainframe managed services company. It used to be a part of IBM, and a few years ago, I guess it's 4 years ago now, IBM set it off to be its own company.
Why'd they do that?
Because they didn't think there was enough money to be made in managing mainframe environments. And Kyndryl has done an amazing job of growing on that backbone. And I'm part of that, building the new consulting arm of Kyndryl, where we're not just managing those environments, we're helping those environments move forward. So, yeah, I'm at probably one of the world's largest startups, right? Because we got separated. There's like 200,000 employees or something, and worldwide. And more than half of all mainframes in the world are managed by Kyndryl.
Wow.
So it's a major, major player in the mainframe world, and the consulting piece is the new piece. So we're like a startup inside a really established business that's also a startup because it's like separated. Yeah.
And you seem really happy to be there.
Yeah, I am. I'm happy anywhere I get a chance to talk about mainframe modernization.
Oh, well, welcome.
And I in the Planet Mainframe article, they quote how my son, I get asked all the time, what do you do? And I try not to. They tell me, no, don't talk mainframes all the time, Mom. And I'm like, but they asked.
Yeah.
So I'm very passionate on this topic. An analyst called me the Greta Thunberg of mainframe modernization because I had made that quote about the climate change of IT. And he's like, well, if that's true, then you're the Greta Thunberg of mainframe modernization. It really is a personal mission. I even spend my free time on it. I launched with the Linux Foundation. I started the Mainframe Modernization Working Group that's doing research into mainframe modernization and publishing white papers around what's new, what's evolving, and educating people on some of these topics that we've been talking about.
Right.
So,
And you said Linux Foundation, is that an open source
Yeah,
organization?
it's an open source community. So I am a volunteer spending my time, I work all day long and then I volunteer my time to do the same work, but for free.
Huh. Just amazing. Where is Kyndryl located?
It's worldwide. Like, I think the headquarters are in New York.
Okay, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I work from home. So
Wow.
Yeah.
So when they calved off of the huge iceberg of IBM, they opened their headquarters in New York City?
I'm not even sure. It's in New York something. Yeah,
Right.
it might be in New York City.
And you never go there?
No, never.
Love that.
Yeah.
And so do you work from home or do you have a separate office?
No,
or?
I work from home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And how's that? Do you enjoy that?
A lot of people don't like working from home because they don't do the personal connections with
Right.
people. In my style of living, I say, all right, what is it I like about this? What is it I don't like about this? And then I make a plan. Like, I list the things that could go wrong with working from home, and then I make a plan for how am I going to address that. So, for example, when I first started working from home, I said, well, building close personal relationships with my colleagues is really hard because I don't have the water cooler or the cafeteria. So if I had a question, I didn't send an email. I would ping them in chat and I'd say, hey, do you have a minute to chat? And then I would always put my camera on so that whether they put their camera on or not, they can see my face.
Right.
And I become a human being to
Right.
all of these people. And I would invent excuses to have a conversation with people rather than just sending emails.
Right.
So I put all of these systems in place to make sure that working from home is meaningful. I have human connection. I'm building relationships, all of those things that you worry about with working from home. I make a plan.
Right. And how many years have you been working from home?
I was working from home during the pandemic like everybody else. And then I left IBM because I had an office in Poughkeepsie with IBM. And I left IBM in the middle of the pandemic. And I was work from home at that company. And then I've been work from home ever since. So what is that? Like 5 years, 6 years, something like that.
And it's working okay for you?
Yeah.
What were some of the other concerns when you made this sort of like spreadsheet of shit that could go wrong?
Never leaving the house, right? Not getting depressed and not dressing. So I dress for work. I go for walks. I make dates with friends and get out of the house.
Right.
Look in my refrigerator and say, do I want another peanut butter sandwich today? Or am I going to walk to Rhinebeck Bagels and get myself, a Reuben? Yeah. So, yeah, I try to mix it up.
Right. How's their Reuben?
Oh, God, I love their Reuben. It's so good.
That's funny. And you got kids, so that probably helps too.
Yeah, but, they're older. How often do I see them? Like, they've got lives.
One of them's in college or just graduated?
She just graduated, yeah.
And one of them's a senior.
He's a senior, yeah.
At Rhinebeck?
Yeah.
Wow. And are either of them following in your footsteps?
No. Marion is really interested in sustainable agriculture and microbiology, and she's trying to find an intersection between the two of those things. We'll see. I don't know how many microbiologist, soil scientist jobs there are, but...
Oh, your mushroom field seems to be...
Yeah, I know. She does like
going
mushrooms, so she is checking that out. And then Mason is trying to figure out who he wants to be. And right now, he's interested in math, but he also has a hobby of being interested in psychology and sociology. So he's kind of closer to following my footsteps, but I think he's going to forge his own path. I don't think he's going to be a mainframer. So
A mainframe.
yeah.
I love that.
Oh my gosh.
Sounds like a little cult.
Well, do you want to talk about? I was having this conversation with somebody a few months ago. All right, we're going to relate it to something else. Did you know Boy Scouts, their top award is called the Eagle Scout Award, right?
Yes.
And when you talk to somebody who's earned that Eagle Scout Award, they say, I am an Eagle Scout.
Okay.
Top award for Girl Scouts is the Senior Award. Have you ever heard a Girl Scout say, I am a Senior Awarder? No, I earned my Senior Award.
Okay.
Eagle Scouts put it on their LinkedIn profile. Girl Scouts who are in the Senior Award typically don't. Why? because it's the words. The words identifies yourself. When you say, I am an Eagle Scout, unconsciously, you're defining yourself as a person. It comes with not something you've earned. It comes with something who you are.
Right.
Okay. So in my world, Mainframe is almost a cult. And you can tell because nobody says I am a clouder, I am a distributor, but I am a mainframer. And Steve Dickens is local. He lives here and he runs a podcast called I'm a Mainframer. And he interviews people who are mainframers. This is very much a term. And people who work in mainframes identify as a mainframer. It becomes
hilarious,
interwoven with your self-identification.
Are there any songs about being a mainframer? And could you sing a few stanzas for us?
I have the IBM songbook, but I don't have anything memorized. And people aren't really doing that anymore. But I mean, come on, are there Eagle Scout songs either? I mean, there's other ways.
Yeah, I'm sure there are Eagle Scout songs.
But they don't sing them.
Yeah, but you are a singer, correct?
I do sing. Yeah, it's my emotional outlet. Yeah, you have to have. I tell my children, you need something physical for your body, something to keep you healthy. You need something for your mind, something to keep your mind active. And you need something for your heart, something that keeps your soul moving. So for me, the thing that keeps my soul moving is singing. And if I'm not singing, if I take a break, I feel it weigh me down and it affects my whole life.
And so do you sing around the house? Are you part of an organized choir?
I sing in a choir called Capella Festiva Chamber Choir. So celebrating our 50th anniversary in a couple of months, and 50 years.
Where is that located?
So it's an independent nonprofit, and we sing wherever we can find a free space. But for the last, 10, 15 years, it's been at Vassar College. So we're not a Vassar College choir group. We are an independent nonprofit, but we hired a director who happens to also be a director at Vassar College, Christine Hallett. She's amazing. Shout out to Christine. And she arranged for us to have very affordable rehearsal space at Vassar. And they host us, and we join them for some things. We sing in Vassar's Lessons and Carols every year. We sang with Hudson Valley Symphonies, Handel's Messiah a few weeks ago back in December. That was hosted at Vassar. Yeah.
Huh. Very interesting. So you once a week you're with this group?
Yeah,
rehearsing
once a week in the fall semester and the spring semester, and we take summer off.
And then are there performances that I could go see?
Oh, yeah, definitely come to the spring 50th anniversary concert. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to have a big gala afterwards to celebrate the 50th anniversary. It's going to be amazing.
Where will that be announced? Will you give me that information?
The website is capellafestiva.org, and Capella is spelled Cappella, Festiva, Festiva.org. And on Instagram and on Facebook, and it'll all be announced there. It's probably already on the website.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? We're out of time. Misty
Oh, my
Decker.
gosh.
It's been an hour, a delightful hour, and we're just a little bit late. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. And Misty Decker, thanks for being here. Jen Hammoud, producer extraordinaire, thanks for everything. The Epicurean and Patricia Wynn, thanks for hosting us. Have a great weekend, and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Norm.